We are real women with curves and cellulite and stretch marks and fat. We gotta own that baby. Giving him something he can feel.
Does President Biden believe that General Milley may have been acting in the national interest by circumventing a former president who he feared was acting erratically?
The former president was fomenting an insurrection. The president believes he's patriotic, that his fidelity to our Constitution is unquestionable, and he has complete confidence in it.
I was molested by the U.S. gymnastics national team and Olympic team doctor, Larry Nassar. After telling my entire story of abuse to the FBI in the summer of 2015, not only did the FBI not report my abuse, but when they eventually documented my report 17 months later, they made entirely false claims about what I said.
All right. Happy Wednesday or Thursday, whenever you're reading this. I am going to call this, Alice, I've already named this episode.
You have?
I've named it Poison All Around Us, because that's what we have. This is, we are in such an interesting place here that I don't even know where to start. Where to start? So I've talked to Aly Raisman, did you know that?
Mm-hmm.
You did?
I have too. You know that?
What? Why is she talking to you?
When I used to work for a clothing company, she came to one of our events.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, then forget it.
Sorry.
Yeah. Well.
I apologize for also being really close buddies with Aly Raisman.
Well, that stinks.
I brought her clothes at our changing room, so
Right.
I'm like friends with her now.
She actually asked to go on a date with me, and I said no. She said, but I've met your wife at the clothing place, and she's so pathetic that I thought that maybe you'd want to date up. And I said, Aly, I understand. Maybe it's not the time to go down this joking road, actually, considering. All right, so here's my my feeling about having talked to Aly Raisman.
Okay.
And then I watched 3 of these girls today, the Olympic girls. Gymnastics girls. I watched Simone Biles, who we've talked about here before.
Yeah, we approve of her.
Yep, and I watched Michaela Maroney.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anything about Michaela Maroney.
Michaela Maroney is the girl who got famous for making the upset face at the Olympics a few years ago.
Really?
It's like a meme face.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay, wait. So at least about Aly Raisman and Simone Biles and Michaela Maroney, from everything I can tell, these are extraordinary young women.
Mm-hmm.
They're so incredibly accomplished in such a way, at such a young age. They all seem very intelligent, first of all, and incredibly disciplined. And what they've done to be this is a big, rich country full of little gymnasts jumping around. To be the best in this country is an amazing thing. To be the best in this world at something is unbelievable. And the pressure, etc., that they go through. And everything I've heard about Aly Raisman, because she lives close. We're in Massachusetts, and she's a Mass native. Mm-hmm. She lives here. Of course, her dog got lost in the Seaport District a couple months ago and has been found, thankfully. She seems to be kind of a very intelligent, sober, disciplined, very sound, strong young lady. She seems to have been brought up right, and they all do.
Yeah, they're all awesome.
They're all awesome. That's what I should have said. They're all awesome. They are all awesome. So I have read about, and I know you have, the Nassar stuff. He's the team doctor who abused them all, sexually abused them all, etc. And I knew he was a monster. I'd be thrilled to find out that he was murdered, in prison. I'm not calling for that or suggesting that should happen, but I'd be absolutely happy to find out that it happened. As of today, listening to what Michaela, and I'm not going to play it, to what Michaela Maroney said about what he did specifically, I had no idea that it was like that. I knew that he was using the exam room as his prop to do. It was
he was pretending he had this method.
Right, exactly, right, and it was all gross, and he's a monster, obviously. I had no idea with at least Kayla Maroney stuff that he used her just recreationally as his own sex doll. His almost a he sedated her and just used her for hours any way he wanted to. That's right. And she would wake up and he's on top of her and he's this monster, etc. So to me, you have this guy, and he's not a guy because it's just simply a monster. I had no idea. A guy capable of doing what he did to them is capable of anything. And I cannot imagine the effing damage that you would have, the damage that it would cause you knowing that you've not only been violated by this thing, but for hours, and then being expected to put your clothes back on, go out, do a fundraiser, get headshots done, do a bunch of PR trips, smile for everybody, do this and that, and then, and quoting to Kayla Maroney, she went right from his room out to win a gold medal one time.
Right.
You're freshly violated, and there you go, walking. That is effed up. The amount of stuff that these girls, who are still figuring out the world, I mean, they're in their 20s now, and I'm sure we're all figuring out the world, but at that age, they're put in extraordinary positions anyway. So not only, of course, I would be obviously happy if Larry Nassar were dead, I would now be elated if he died badly for a long time. But that's not. It is to the what this guy has done in tampering with them in the way that it was allowed to happen systemically through the Olympic Committee and all these other people in the university, etc., to the monster is one of the great American. What's a more condemning word for tragedy?
Horror story? I mean,
it has to be more malicious.
A travesty?
How about atrocity?
An atrocity, okay. I'll give you atrocity.
It is one of the great American atrocities. And to have the FBI take her report, shelve it, and then finally change it, Kayla Maroney, in 2015, when there was a chance that they could spare her for being used as this guy's unconscious ragdoll on trips, which is what he used her at. But no, the FBI just effed it off. And they have Chris Ray there today saying, I really feel bad for you guys. This is terrible and it's inexcusable. There needs to be fucking hundreds, if not thousands, of firings in the FBI. And
I'm okay right now, actually, if we just get rid of the whole agency. Actually, maybe the whole DOJ and all of our intelligence agencies can just go and we'll start over from scratch.
But specifically this one,
because this is we put up with a lot of stupid stuff, that they're nabbing people for nothing at the Capitol and that they're spying on Tucker Carlson and everything else. But that's predicated on the belief that they do something useful sometimes. That, we suffer through all this indignity and stupidity and awfulness with the idea that maybe sometimes they'll, stop something bad from happening. But if they can't even do that, then what the heck's the point of them? If they're going to take, when they have somebody who's clearly that they're getting multiple stories corroborating that this guy is a sex-abusing monster, what? I mean, just lock him up and throw away the key. If you can't do that, then there's no point to having a law enforcement agency.
No doubt about that.
Then you don't need it. It can go away.
And that's on the ground level. The fact that Kayla Maroney calls them on the phone and tells them, a young girl telling them the play-by-play story of how she's being defiled. She gets through the GD thing, and they shelve it, and then change it. Not only that, but you're right, back to the ground level stuff. Just go to the school shooting in Florida, too. The kid's own stepmother or whatever called the FBI and says, I think I'm dealing with a psycho who's going to shoot everybody in the building. And the FBI said, okay. Nothing? Okay, that's fine. Okay, so they suck at doing stuff on the street. That's fine. Today they managed to pick up a 19-year-old in Connecticut and in Canterbury, Connecticut, who took selfies at the Capitol building with her mom. They did that, and they were like, they perp walked her, and there were 40 FBI cars out there. Yeah, they're good at that. They're good at Roger Stone, man. There was no chance he was getting away. He was only 78 years old. They had boats around Roger Stone. They told CNN. They're good at that. But the fact that this happened, and under first Jim Comey, and now under Ray, that one person's been fired for this so far. Everybody
multiply
should
that
be
by 100, and then
everybody
we'll
should be
keep
fired.
talking.
Fire everybody in every goddamn department in that effing place. Fire Christopher Wray. Go back and see if Jim Comey knew anything, whatever. I want heads to roll. How don't we put people in jail for allowing rape factories to happen? Seriously.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like, if they're like trying to get Trump on obstruction for like saying, maybe you should not go after Flynn or whatever. And, and this isn't like interfering with an investigation or like causing him. I mean, you would think there's some kind of criminal liability there if a bunch of people come to you and go, this guy's raping us, and you, the law enforcement agency, don't do anything. If you're like, oh, okay.
Right. And you know what else it makes you do? It makes you look at things like the Boston Marathon bombing and how the FBI was working with these guys, with the Tsarnaevs, with each one of them, and Tsarnaev's buddy, and how
they shot the other buddy.
That's the guy I'm talking about, who died during the interrogation. Say, what the F is this entity anyway, this FBI? In the fact that they can't at least administratively, after the fact, clean house tells you that the culture there is warped, demented, and sick. These people in the FBI are culpable in those sexual abuses that happen.
And did you see the story a couple months ago that they were, I think this was the FBI, it was one of our intelligence agencies, I believe it was the FBI, that they were using for their sex trafficking stings photos of women who worked in the office as like the lure to like, as like the profile picture for the fake account that they were talking to the predators with?
Well, I mean, what's the etiquette for that? Who do you use, Alice?
Do you use like your secretary's photo? I mean, well, now there's
seems
like
it might be an HR situation.
You
certainly
would think so, but like they're just scum. The whole thing's just rotten top to bottom. You never hear a good story about the FBI. I don't know. Like, what have they done for me lately? Frankly, like I don't know. I'm fine with it if we just get rid of the whole thing. I'm done with them.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree. We can reimagine them. How about that?
Yeah, and that's a police, maybe we can get some defunders of the police on board because if they're not cops, nobody is. They're the worst of the worst.
Right. What are you eating, drinking? You my iced tea? Oh, okay. That's okay. It's funny. I'm glad he came in right now because it allows us to move away from the subject. So we agree we can table that now? Mm-hmm. It is funny, Alice, that this... If you guys know, that, I work now. I have a morning show. Alice is homeschooling. I've got this morning show on WTIC from 10 to 2. So what our day is like is that I wake up... I wake up in the morning and I try to be up and going at 6 o'clock so I'm drinking coffee and reading stories at 6:05, whatever, and try to get 6 to 8 reading stories, cultivating stories, looking at the news, whatever, and then generally from 8-ish, 8 to 9, whatever. Alice is helping me somewhere in that window. She comes down before she starts homeschooling, and then start cultivating audio, etc. for stories, whatever, and then the last hour is putting everything together, little audio production stuff for me, and then I roll into it, into the show, and then I'm in the submarine for 4 hours with the show, and like 2:15 I'm out, and that's either I'll try to exercise, and then in case anybody ever finds me important enough to assassinate, that's my schedule. And so then we've got either a kid's sport or whatever, but then we've only got a small window of time. Then we're doing this podcast, and then we're either having dinner, hanging out, shooting the breeze. We're either in self-imposed rehab or not, depending.
Mm-hmm.
I've
been pretty good since Labor Day weekend.
You've been good since the Labor Day weekend. Yes. Labor Day weekend? Oh, yeah. When you broke the streak, by the way, for both of us. You mentioned. Okay, so, but anyway, just to tell you what an intense routine this is it's been such a concentrated routine, is that I go down, everything has to be, I have to have all this stuff in place, or else Alice will lose her temper, because she's got a loud temper when things aren't. So I go downstairs and I drink cold coffee from the day before, which is fine. I prefer it cold. It's actually a pleasure of mine.
Mm-hmm. I get in trouble if there's no cold coffee.
Trouble is, within reason trouble. Like, oh, freaking, there's no cold coffee? That sucks. The other day was, no. The other day, it's a long story. Anyway, so anyway, and so all these little things, like I go to the fridge, I see that we have a little pitcher which Alice got from her mother that we use for cold coffee. I pour it into my little vessel. We have our Nescafe creamer, flavored creamer, which is crucial. That's the difference between making the coffee ingestion, just simply injecting nicotine, or something that is absolutely pleasurable. That's the whole difference there.
I think it's caffeine and not nicotine, but.
No, but I know it's caffeine, but that's what I said. I think
I'm just
that's what I
checking.
said. Did I say nicotine?
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, this is a small thing, but just to tell you how, it's the same thing. I lean over the fridge door every morning. Same thing starts. I let Dave outside. I lean over the door. I get my cup. I pour the thing into the cup, and then the Nescafe creamer stuff, the flavored stuff, is in there. Mm-hmm. And I flip the top up because it's got the top flip. And then I pour the thing. And now I just went down there before this show to get a coffee.
And it's not a flip top.
It's not a flip top. And I was like, that changes everything. The look and feel of how I get the cream into the cup is different. They're changing. Like, what? Why are they changing? Was the old one not working? Or are they cutting down? Were people getting too complacent about not appreciating their flip technology that was included?
I don't know. Maybe it's a supply chain issue.
Maybe it is, Alice.
Could be, actually.
Actually, yes, because this one makes no sense. This is now just an unscrew thing. Mm-hmm. It used to be you'd pour, gingerly.
And it had the, plastic wrap over the top. When I initially opened it, I had to, pull the little thing and peel off the plastic that was sealing the top rather than the inside thing that you peel off. So it's a totally different type of container. So I wonder if it is a supply chain issue. It could be.
You notice that sometimes the store has the huge ones and then sometimes they don't.
Yeah, no.
And by the way, you guys know if you drink this I know it's getting more popular.
Is it Nescafe? Is it
brand? Nescafe?
I don't even know.
Is it Nestle sweetener?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's a Korean sweetener. Yeah.
Right. Anyway, but they're getting much more popular. You can tell. Mm-hmm. People must be drinking more coffee.
Mm-hmm. I like to buy the Peeps flavored ones at Easter. And
right. Okay. We're already here on Collector 5. You can't go any further into irrelevancy. Nobody has any reason to be listening still. But it's certainly, the section's gotten huge, so obviously it's very, very popular. Mm-hmm. But that's just it. It's like this. It's just a matter of this routine of what's been happening, and then being in front of this microphone or that microphone. There's two microphones to use, etc. Mm-hmm. I just think it was kind of interesting, and it amuses me that these sudden little changes. Because I've never really done anything like this where I am locked in. I was while I was in management and sucked, I was not locked into really anything. That's the nice thing about being in management. You can fly around here, there. You have to make horrible decisions and act like somebody you don't want to be almost all the time. But I wasn't locked in. Now I am locked in. I am in this tank when this thing goes. And it's kind of fun. It's crazy doing talk radio. Nobody asked. All right, let's get to the next thing. Okay, Alice. I don't even want to set this up. Let me let you do it because I am... What's happening here with Mark Milley and seeing the administration's take on this, the official take, to me, this is the end. No, this is the affirmation of this administration's permanent toxicity and the complete erosion of, really, I'm sorry, of the credibility and efficacy and really the goodness of government whatsoever.
Right.
This country sucks more now, as of today, as of when Psaki said this, than it has in freaking decades, maybe centuries.
Yeah, I mean, I have a takeaway from this, but I'll let you play Psaki first, and then I'll tell you what I think, because I have thoughts.
Does President Biden believe that General Milley may have been acting in the national interest by circumventing a former president who he feared was acting erratically?
Well, it's the obligation of every chairman of the Joint Chiefs to follow constitutional orders to prevent unlawful military action. That's what the president believes. But it's also important to understand the context of when this reporting was happening during, and the fact that the former president was fomenting an insurrection, and there was broad concern from a range of members of his national security team about his behavior and fitness for office. And I know you all know and have reported on that context, but that is missing a little bit as people are discussing this.
So you think General Milley may have been acting patriotically by having these conversations with
Again,
China?
I'm not going to give further analysis other than to say that the president believes he's patriotic, that his fidelity to our Constitution is unquestionable, and he has complete confidence in him.
President Biden.
This is a problem, and it's a problem because, like we talked about yesterday, what Milley did is totally unconstitutional and totally against, I mean, not just like, it's not just some like legal quibble, but this is a deliberate bright line that we make in our government, that we don't have the armed forces run themselves. They're run by leaders elected by the people who are civilians. I mean, that's why it was a big deal when we've had generals as defense secretaries, because they're not supposed to have been generals for a while, and they had to get like special waivers, and Trump did that too. Also not great when he did it, but you know, we should really have civilian control of our military, and this precedent that this sets, to have the military get to decide whether or not they think the president is like being good right now, is not a good thing. And the message that I take from Psaki, the fact that Biden apparently thinks this is patriotic and good and responsible and constitutional, tells me that they think that in a similar scenario that should happen again. And it tells me that, you know, that they're unlikely, in my view, and I always hate people who acted like this, like about Bush, like, will Bush let go of power? He's going to try and declare a state of emergency and not let Obama take office. Like, I don't know if Trump got elected again. I don't know if they would let him take office. Like, say 2024 rolls around and Trump gets reelected, and they'll do all the same stuff. They'll cry and demand the electors do something. They'll demand that Kamala Harris do what they said Pence absolutely could not do, which is throw out the votes. And, you know what I mean? They'll do all the same stuff that they have done every time, and
which is allowed by the media and does not, you know, head on fire. Doesn't happen.
I mean, like, this makes me wonder if they actually would, if he were elected in 2024, let him take office in January 2025. Because, you know, when he left office in January 2021, they apparently didn't think he should be running the military. And the military took things into his own hands, and Biden thinks that was fine and a good thing. So how do you then back away from that statement and say, like, oh, but now it's fine?
Right. Well,
how do you in January 2025 say, like, oh, okay, well, now I guess he can run the military again? Like, they're saying he as the sitting president should not have been allowed to manage the military himself.
Right.
Without the use of the 25th Amendment or any of the other things that are designed to be able to take power from the president if something is seriously wrong with him. But none of those were used in this case, right? This is just Milley acting unilaterally to decide that he's going to take power from the president personally himself.
Right, which she says, ironically, that Trump was fomenting an insurrection right next to Milley's
insurrection.
Right.
Like,
but it's not just, and I agree with you, that it was so far beyond his remit, as I say, Alice. But she says, remember, the context was context. The context for the military being able to take over was Trump was fomenting something bad. Fomenting something bad. Now, this was an unarmed something bad. It should go to but to foment is to instigate or stir up. Do politicians ever not foment something?
Yeah. Yeah,
They're always fomenting something.
I mean,
when Joe Biden tells us that there are white supremacists and they're the biggest threat to this country, he is fomenting something. When he tells us that racism is a public health crisis, they are fomenting something.
Or when he tells us that unvaccinated people are dangerous and causing people to die, that's fomenting something too. When they say, when they go around, when Bernie Sanders drove one of his supporters to go shoot a bunch of congressmen with a literal gun, not like the imaginary guns that were in the, quote, insurrection at the Capitol, nobody took him off all his committee chairmanships because people understand that politicians say stuff and sometimes crazy people do things that the politician didn't intend, right? Like, Trump gave a speech. There was a mostly peaceful protest, and some people rioted and were violent towards cops and got into parts of the building where they shouldn't have been, et cetera, et cetera. And also some other people also wandered in behind them and took some pictures and then left.
Right.
So, I mean, there were multiple things going on there, but clearly I don't condone any of that bad behavior of the rioting or whatever, but an insurrection this was not, and Trump didn't intend for it to happen. And I said that day, I think he should have come out and been more forceful in condemning it, but
also, how about this, Alice? How about he's allowed to foment any GD thing he wants? He's the president. By the way, he's the president who, did not use. He talked to citizens. The president, he did not dispense the armed forces around to foment this insurrection as one would do.
Right.
But he's the president. He can foment anything he wants. If you don't like his fomenting, then you can throw him out. Then you can toss him. You can impeach him. You can kick him out. Whatever. It's
Right. If there were any kind of consensus as to whether or not he should be running the military, then Congress or the cabinet would take action. But obviously there was no consensus. So that means that Milley wasn't, acting in some obvious national interest. He was acting in the obvious political interest of one political party, which is totally different, and the left is big on trying to make it sound like their personal political interests are broader than that, with all their country over party, and this is bigger than Trump, and this isn't just about left and right, he's really mean and whatever. He made fun of John McCain for being a prisoner of war. That's terrible. This goes beyond politics. But at the end of the day, they're just saying that because politics. There's no they don't actually care about some bigger thing. You can't take that stuff seriously. Half the country doesn't take it seriously because it's been so obvious for 4 years that they absolutely are only doing it for their own stupid short-term political gain.
So here's another thing. How about, what if Joe Biden, who's been in D.C. for 50 years, and other people in D.C., in the Beltway, what if they expect and know the military people to act like this? What if the way Milley was talking to his counterpart in China, what if that that rapport he had with him is the rapport most generals, high-ranking military people have with foreign counterparts?
Well, and I've even seen reports that there were a lot of people in the room for these calls with the Chinese counterparts. That this was
what I'm saying is maybe the politicians, the civilians, have ceded over the fact that this is just part of life, that the uniformed guys feel that they and somewhat kind of run the show in certain ways, and the uniformed guys really, that Milley is more concerned with his counterpart than he is with and his own view, his life, and with his counterpart than he is with what's going on internally. And so he's going to I'll have to let you know if we're going to attack, etc. And by the way, don't worry, because I'm going to tell the president and the rest of the Joint Chiefs, I'll tell them, what I want them to hear based on what you and I go for so that we're cool, Maybe that's just the way it is.
Well, yeah, and he apparently talked to Pelosi, too. Pelosi said, this guy shouldn't be in charge of anything. He's crazy. And he said, yeah, I agree with you completely, 100%. Madam Speaker. So,
Right.
so I think that...
Obviously, the thing to do, if you're not a coward or a psychotic, the thing to do is resign and declare loudly to the world your thoughts if you got a problem. It is not to assume control.
Yeah.
That makes him a dangerous man. And the idea that I'm sorry, the idea that they're...
Well, yeah, people act like Michael Flynn is crazy because he said we should have a military coup, which, he may kind of be crazy. But, Milley actually did it. So what are we doing here? If Michael Flynn is banned from polite society for, saying this out loud, then, why shouldn't Milley be in more trouble? Because he's actually doing what Flynn has talked about. The whole thing just makes no sense. But, I don't know what you do about Milley. I don't know enough about that. How the whole... if he gets court-martialed or if it's, a uniform code of military justice thing or, what it... But, he needs to be in trouble. And but I guess now, because he's the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, that he's, under the president. So him being in trouble, I guess, would have to come from the president now? And since the president approves of his miniature military coup, then I guess nothing happens? This is just the reality now?
Right, it's the reality now. This administration has shown that it's not going to take any political hit whatsoever. And this is what you get from having an old, cynical, beltway, blowhard politician running the place. He's never going to. He's not wired. He's been speaking only politics for too long. It's like somebody like Pelosi and the Republicans who have been there for 50 years. They don't know how to speak in any other way, and they're not in the habit of letting on principle. And you would never do that. Maybe you could horse trade. You want me to whack Milley? What do you have for me? But I'm sure that he can't find any horse traders to do anything right now. Mm-hmm. So no. So now it's complete and total carte blanche. Nobody runs the FBI but the FBI. Nobody runs the military but the military. Although...
that seems not what the intention was of how our government works.
Right. Well, but I shouldn't even say that. It's not really true with the military because activists have a voice. Mm-hmm. If Milley had said in any of these Woodward books that trans boys are girls, then he would no longer be employed.
Right. Because there would be, no room for hatred and bigotry in the administration.
Right. He'd be absolutely gone. That would be the end of that. If he said something disparaging about Chaz Bono being a she, that's finito.
Right.
If he said, that George Floyd was no angel, done.
Yeah.
Over. So
but
that's...
well,
I guess maybe that's the point.
Small
that's
coups,
paramount.
that's okay.
That's paramount in the military and in everything else now in Washington, D.C., especially with a progressive administration, which this is. All that stuff, all you have to show is that you're a true believer. Alice, and he said it. White rage. Mm-hmm. He proved himself on the big stage saying he wants to know, damn it, about white rage. Imagine a military leader wanting to know about white? Wait a second. Race? The rage of someone? I want to know about Asian greed, damn it. What? That would be unheard of. But he's going to say white rage? So I guess I've answered my own question. We've worked this out perfectly. Mm-hmm. He's a true believer.
Milley goes nowhere.
He's a good theologian. Mm-hmm. And so, you're right. He stays. He has proven himself.
Helped take in the hit on the Afghanistan thing. He's gone out there and taken terrible questions and looked awful in front of everybody over the Afghanistan screw up and run cover for Biden on it. So,
yes.
So he gets points for that too, I assume.
Right. Okay. So that's where we are. We're all fucked. That's fine. Okay.
California's really effed too. I did a great Substack
No, I think it's
on
great. I think
Tom's
it's great.
Substack today.
I think they're shutting down more stuff, by the way. You saw this tonight?
More mask mandates.
More mask mandates. I think that's wonderful. I think shock troops should go around and throw everybody into stadiums.
The New York Office of Children and Families is demanding masks on daycare kids 2+ again too in New York. So I mean, yeah, everything it's going right.
That's
more
good.
masks.
That's good.
More
I
masks
invite
everywhere.
invasion now. I don't know. What country would you prefer to be invaded by?
Russia.
Really? Why? Food sucks.
Yeah, but
The women are handsome.
I miss the glory days of the Russian Empire.
What?
Yeah, like the
Wait a second.
czars and stuff.
I don't think the czars are coming back, Alice.
Well, you know.
Oh, wait, oh, okay. No,
I'm
you want 1880 Russia?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I don't know that that's going to happen necessarily.
Okay,
Was Vladimir Putin part of that?
No, I don't need Putin, but yeah, I'll take the czars. Yeah.
That's insane.
You don't like the czars?
I don't want Russian food sucks.
The church is pretty good.
They're
The
humorless.
music is great.
No, but they're not humorless.
literature-
Actually, the
The
whole
literature is incredible.
Yakov Smirnoff was a very. He wasn't the Norm Macdonald level, but maybe he was. The music is good.
The music is good. Tchaikovsky, the Nutcracker.
I want the food to be good. I'll take Mexico or Japan. That's all I want. Just make the food good. And actually, yeah, that's right. Just make the food. You know what? How's Italy doing? The food's good in Italy. And they're so
That's true.
warm, welcoming and warm, and they're so handsome and beautiful.
You can buy Italian castles really cheap if you'll fix them up. The government has grant programs.
You know what?
You should think about making purchase of an Italian castle in the
I
countryside.
call it a piazza, Alice.
Okay.
All right, let's listen. Speaking of Italians, I want to play for you the audio of my new friend. Somebody who I thought this was a random TikToker, but I'm told it is not a random TikToker.
No, she's in the new Cinderella movie. She's a famous singer.
Oh, the new Cinderella movie?
Camilla
the new one?
Cabello.
Okay,
the one with
the new
Billy
one.
Porter as the fairy godmother that I showed you. The one that they stopped
I
traffic
was just
over.
running in the park.
Okay, hold on, Camilla. Come over.
She's one of the people who stopped traffic to promote the movie
Oh, she
with
is?
James Corden dancing as the mouse.
Camilla Cabello. Oh, she is Italian, right? Mm-hmm. All right, good. All right, here she is. She's on TikTok. I didn't know about her, so let's listen to her and watch her. And okay.
Minding my own business, trying to be fit, trying to keep it healthy, and I'm wearing a top that shows my belly, and I wasn't tucking it in. Because I was running and existing like a normal person that doesn't tuck it in all the time. And I was like, damn. But then I reminded myself.
First of all, and she doesn't really appear to be fat. She's very cute, I think, right?
She's not really fat.
She's not.
I mean,
She's maybe has a.
She's a little bit of a belly, but
Maybe, but she's sitting in a car too. That's like
Yeah,
not the
so-
anti-belly pose. But first of all, my question is this: I was running in the park in minding my own business. Well, then there's no incident. It seems like she had a conflict with herself.
No, a paparazzi was taking pictures of her.
Oh, I didn't hear that. Is that coming?
I think she said it at the beginning, or maybe,
No.
maybe she's about to say it.
Oh, no. Okay, we'll start from the beginning.
I was just running in the park, minding my own business, trying to be fit, trying to keep it healthy, and I'm wearing a top that shows my belly, and I wasn't tucking it in. Because I was running and existing like a normal person that doesn't tuck it in all the time. And I was like, damn. But then I reminded myself, being at war with your body is so last season. I am grateful for this body that lets me do what I need to do. We are real women with curves and cellulite and stretch marks and fat. And we gotta own that, baby. Giving him something he can feel.
Oh.
I was just...
Okay.
So I have thoughts on.
She didn't mention paparazzi, but I assume that maybe that's what she meant.
Yeah, no, there was a paparazzi taking pictures of her, and she was.
Oh, hold on.
The pictures were unflattering, and yeah, I mean,
Running
like,
in
so
the
this
park,
happened actually a little while ago, but like,
minding
Sorry,
my
I'm trying to get out of here.
there's
Okay, good.
discourse about her being a little chunky now post like COVID or whatever. But
So she's Camilla
not-
who? Let me
Camilla Cabello, one L in Camilla, Camilla two in Cabello. And, she's not, like, super skinny, but I think she's not helped. I have a theory about this. I think she's not helped because she doesn't have a huge chest. So I think that it, like, proportionally makes her look chubbier, that, like, she doesn't have the boobs sticking out further on top.
Oh, page 6 is vicious in the post. Wet Camila Cabello shows off curves on beach. Curves, and she looks rather plump.
I mean, a tiny bit.
In this picture, anyway. She's very
There's
pretty.
There's unflattering pictures out there. I mean, yeah.
There are unflattering pictures of me out there.
I know. So, I mean, yeah. She's a little bit chubby. So there's been, like, discourse about this, how she's chubby. But, like, so she had this TikTok about saying, like, it is what it is. I think it's fine. Like, I don't think she looks bad, but I also, like, for one thing, I think she's not helped by the chest situation.
Okay, Dr. Nip and Tuck, you gonna force her to get a
I'm not
job?
gonna make anybody do anything. I'm just saying that.
Wow, catty.
She's more
She
of a
totally
pear.
has no chest.
She's more of a pear than an hourglass. That's all. Just saying.
All right.
But I mean, like, I think she's not, like, fat for a normal person, but she's bigger for a celebrity, I would say.
I think
we're
so.
not
Who
used
knows?
to seeing
I don't know
like
who
famous
really,
singers who look like that.
I don't know who really
would
looks
say.
like what. Remember there was like 15 years ago, Jennifer Love Hewitt, who I loved, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
She had some pictures at a beach where it was like rough pictures, cellulite kind of pictures, whatever. And she said, "Oh my God, that was a wake up call for me. I learned." It's like, I mean, you're already like 9.99999 gorgeous. Don't sweat it.
Yeah.
Right?
Or like
I think you're doing okay, JLH.
Christina Hendricks gets, flagged for being fat sometimes too. The redhead from Mad Men.
No, I remember.
So, but again, she's a little bit on the bigger side too for a celebrity, but she has a lot of rack. So that, like, I feel like that helps balance it.
Who else would you say, and use that term, else?
Nothing. I'm done now.
By
That's
the way,
all I have to weigh in on.
Has our little person?
yeah.
Does our little person need to go outside to go to that place? Does that person know that she has to go outside?
She knows to go outside at 5:45 to be picked up for her sporting event.
She does. So we're not going to have to say anything. I'm not going to have to.
We should not have to say anything. No.
Okay, that person will go.
Yes, but also you said you were going to end the show in about 3 minutes from now, max, and that's when
Don't
she
call
has to
me
be.
Max.
That's when she has to be
Oh,
outside.
Hey,
So
my phone, my plug power's not working. Am I plugged in?
I think so.
To the ground.
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
Oh, now it's working. Okay.
Everything okay?
Thankfully, we got that in. We'll keep
We
that in.
have to get a little technical difficulty into every show.
Yeah, I know. All right, homie. So anyway, this is my feeling to her is she's cute. Okay, just it's okay. Imagine that. Imagine being like 25 and your movie just came out and having to worry about the bad shot the paparazzi's gonna get of you. Mm-hmm. My goodness, all there are is bad shots of me. That's all there are. My station of life is so low that we got a mention message in the burn barrel about me being Jabba the Hutt on Tatooine,
Tatooine.
and I'm so low that I fact-checked the planet to make sure he got it right. And if he didn't, I was going to go at him and say, "Ha, idiot, it's wrong planet." Absorbing the Jabba part, of course. But there is something to be said, because you're the cute little Leia person. Anyway, it plays into an unhealthy thing I've got going in my head anyway. So there you go. Okay? Things are fine. Okay? Women, you're good looking. You're all handsome.
You're rich and famous, and you're good looking, and you're skinnier than a lot of people, Camilla.
Right.
You're doing great. You're fine.
And you probably settled. You're going to settle for less than you should regardless. Okay? Like Alice did, which is excellent for me and just terrible for her. But you guys make these decisions.
I like it.
I know. That's why I feel bad. But who knows? Till then, I don't know. Anyway, this is an interesting week. I'm telling you, something's going to happen. Something is going to happen. You cannot have this many huge events at once. We're not even talking about. We could have dedicated this entire show and all this week's shows and last week's shows to the absolute chaos at the border.
Yeah.
which is happening right now. Everything that you thought about the border as an institution holding up whatever or fluctuating, bending, not breaking. No, it broke. This is craziness at the border.
I'm sure that's not true because I'm sure I would be in all the major newspapers and we would be hearing about kids in cages and how it was a humanitarian crisis if that were true, Tom. So it cannot, cannot be.
Yes,
AOC would be crying by the Biden concentration camps if that were happening.
Yes, in her dress. Absolutely. There's no doubt about that. Which was just another photo op, actually, when she did that for Trump. But we've got so much to get to. Something's going to happen this week at some point. Something's going to happen. You know what, Alice? I have a prediction for you and for you guys. Mm-hmm. Something good is going to happen very shortly. We'll say in a matter of days.
Are you, do you have something specific in mind?
I have no control over it. No, some kind of world or domestic affair. Something positive is going to happen. Turning a corner, maybe. Something good. Look for positivity.
What are you, like a astrologist now?
I might be. Alice, is that stars?
Astronomy is the science of stars. Astrology is what millennials are into. That's like horoscopes.
Okay, that's right. Okay, I'm a Capricorn.
I know you are. We learned about that because we were doing geography in school, and we named the Tropic of Capricorn, and they said they didn't know any Capricorns. And I said, your dad's a Capricorn.
They know the Capricorn. My goodness.
So you can follow us on Twitter at Burn Barrel Pod. You can follow him. He's at Tom Shattuck. I am at Alice Shattuck. We are also at burnbarrelpodcast.com.
I've had 2 new uploads to locals today, Alice. 2 important, including one that is, I'm just going to say, possibly not rated safe for work, which I put up there today.
It's not of me, is it?
That has to do with some competition for you, perhaps, Alice.
Okay. As long as it's not of me.
I don't know. We'll see.